Throughout this semester, we have examined leadership types and qualities, trying to determine what a true effective leader looks like. In the book Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, effective leadership was shown greatly by the main character, Ender Wiggin. Ender Wiggin wasn't the only one who displayed leadership, however. His older brother, Peter Wiggin, was essentially as a leader as well, but used an extremely different tactic to lead. Ender and Peter's leadership styles can very easily be contrasted, proving that Ender was truly the effective leader. But first, let's review just what an effective leader looks like. According to Gregory Eastwood's article titled, "How Literature Informs Notions of Leadership," a leader must exhibit some crucial traits, including integrity, honesty, courage, respect, and humility. Leaders must be able to lead by example, gaining trust and respect from the people they are leading. Gregory believed that the base of an effective leader stands on three important abilities: the ability to listen, the ability to select good people, and the ability to understand yourself. Another view on what an effective leader looks like comes from William George's article titled, "The Truth About Authentic Leaders." He introduces the idea of an authentic leader being a real or genuine. This idea focuses on leaders developing their own leadership characteristics, not just copying what they see in others or conforming to the basic idea of what other people see a leader as. George believes that authenticity has emerged as a gold standard for leadership. Developing personal style allows a leader to be aware of their true selves and develop relationships with others, greatly benefiting the entire group they are leading. One of the greatest leaders in the history of the world was Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa. Richard Stengel from Time magazine had the opportunity to sit down and discuss with Mandela what his thoughts on leadership was. Mandela laid out 8 essential lessons that leaders must live by to be effective. One rule was lead from the back and let others believe they're in front. The way others looked up to Mandela was a huge key in creating him into the leader he was known for. He was willing to hear all views and let others believe they were just as important to the cause. Stengel stated that Mandela would listen, and when everyone was done talking, he would summarize everyone's points of view and then share his own thoughts. Mandela would make the decision, but he would allow everyone to be involved. Because Mandela led with a team-first mindset, he was able to gain support and trust from hundreds of thousands of followers and create a movement that gained him his freedom and granted the end of apartheid in South Africa. He looked out for the whole country and created change through other people. Now that we see what makes an effective leader, let's take a look at Ender and Peter Wiggin and the leadership they exhibited in the novel Ender's Game. One thing that makes Ender an effective leader was his ability to look at things differently and with detail. He, along with a recruit named Eli, figured out how to maneuver in null gravity. He thought differently. People noticed this, and he was able to gain trust and friendship in many people. Ender also exhibits modesty in his leadership. He succeeded without even realizing it. He had gone the furthest in the mind game without even knowing, and the military commanders noticed. He didn't boast about his accomplishments. He stayed humble, and that reflected in the trust the commanders had with Ender. Ender is a key example of a leader who looks out for the entire group. He took his own knowledge and was able to teach his launchees the skills they needed to be successful in their battles. Other soldiers didn't like this, but Ender continued to do it so that the launchees could be successful. He disregarded what others thought of him so that he could focus on the success of his group as a whole. Ender proves to be a superb leader because he was able to take a group of misfit launchees and win every single battle, even when the odds were against them. He turned underdogs into successful soldiers. Ender was a determined leader that cared about the people around him. He was supportive, caring, and determined to create success not only for himself, but everyone he led. Ender Wiggin fits the profile of the leader that Gregory Eastwood described in his article that we previously discussed. He is humble, courageous, and he puts the needs of his peers before his own. Ender also displays the traits of the authentic leader developed by William George. He goes against what people want him to be, and is constantly doing what he can to become a leader. He understands who he is and stays true to what he believes in. On the contrary, Peter Wiggin was also a leader in Ender's Game, though he displayed his leadership quite differently. Peter was abusive and broke people down, even threatening to kill Valentine and physically abusing Ender during their childhood. Peter was very focused on himself, consumed with jealousy that Ender was chosen for battle school. Peter gained his leadership behind the screen. He became a secret writer named Locke and would write political commentary. The International Fleet figured out it was him, but still allowed him to write. And after Ender's victory, Peter was able to put an end to the League War. He became the leader of Earth and exiled Ender, his own brother, from returning, in order to avoid the shadow he would have to have against his heroic brother. Peter led with selfish motives, hiding behind a fake name and still remaining jealous of his brother. This, however, still gained him power, and he became the leader of Earth. Peter doesn't represent the leader profile we've discussed. He displays qualities of a dictative, authoritarian leadership. Some people fear him. Fear was the main source of his ride to power. So, Ender and Peter could both be considered leaders, but Ender appeals to what most people look for in a leader. He is determined and willing to sacrifice to benefit the whole group. Peter was primarily focused on himself, but that gave him the power to make drastic changes and lead the world. In the end, Ender fits the profile that we have classified as an effective leader. He is smart, courageous, humble, and puts others before himself. Ender Wiggin is the true definition of a true effective leader.